Highly likely this is going to upset a few people, especially those living in the UK, but I make no apologies for what I'm about to say.
And leave the UK today.
I left the UK.
I'm going to be leaving the UK.
He's leaving the UK.
I am leaving the UK.
Leave London.
Leave the UK. That you should leave the UK.
We left the UK.
That we have decided to leave London.
I moved out of London.
So we have decided to leave the country.
Seriously, leave the UK while you have the chance. It's expensive, bruv. Cost of living has just made it insane for a standard young person to live here.
Prices on food, prices on car insurance, prices on everything have just skyrocketed.
England is just a miserable place. The streets are unsafe.
London is so expensive at the minute. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, cost of living crisis. I am in a mental health crisis.
In terms of just, if I work hard, it may not be enough. Like, I may work my arse off for the rest of my life and it's still not be enough.
The list goes on, and it's quite simply painful to see a country fall down the pan as much as the UK has.
Look how beautiful. Oh, wait, that's just somebody's used underwear.
Welcome back to Brit Rants, where your messy Britain is put under daylight, one tantrum at a time. A rising number of Brits are packing up and declaring, enough. It is not about weather or different places to visit. It is about survival. Unable to pay for a home, unavailable to go to a doctor, no future to build. While the government continues to blatantly gaslight an entire generation with talks of growth and recovery, there are folks quitting the country, quietly and not so quietly, from where they once called home. This is no migration, this is escape. Today, we'll discuss why the UK is baby bumming so many Brits, and Slack is just exposing the truth. Hit the subscribe button if you've ever said, I can't do this here anymore. Let's get into it.
The UK is the best place ever to live on earth, and if you watch this video, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should never leave. And the first reason you should never leave the UK is because of the weather. Like, look at this, look at the rain. Like, where else would you want to live? Why would you want to live in the sun when you can live in the rain for literally 10 months of the year? And the best thing is about it, even in the 2 months that it's meant to be sunny here, it might even still rain again, so you don't have to leave. If you're like me and this weather puts you in the best mood ever, makes you productive, makes you do everything you want to do, especially when it's grey outside as well, like, this is perfect, man. Why would you want to be somewhere where it's sunny? Imagine living in a country where it's sunny the whole year. Like, that is so ridiculous. Number 2 then is the people in the UK. Look at this lady here. Look how happy she looks. Look how, like, grateful she is to be in the UK and, like, how much she loves being here. Like, can you just tell? Look at her face. Look how happy she looks, man. Why would you want to go and live somewhere where there's people which don't look like this? This is what you want to see every time you go out your door, when you go into work, when you go to the supermarket. You want to see people looking this happy to be in a country that they absolutely love. So yeah, if you want to be surrounded by happy people, don't leave the UK, man. Now, the third and final one, which is my probably favourite out of all 3, is the housing situation here in the UK. If you're like me and a young adult, this is a perfect opportunity for you, man. Come to the UK, you can literally get a house for about £500,000. As you can see, if you live in England, the average UK house price is £288,000. Now, obviously in London, it's a bit more, but if you live in England, you can get a house for £288,000, 5% higher than it was 12 months ago. House prices are just going up, man. Why would you not want to live in this country? And do you know what makes it even better? If you work a minimum wage job or you work an average salary, you're probably going to make maybe £30,000 to £35,000 if you're lucky a year. And the house prices are only like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times that. Why would you not want to buy a house in the UK? So yeah, this has been 3 reasons why you should never leave the UK, man. If you've enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments. And if you can think of any other reasons why you shouldn't leave the UK, drop it in the comments as well, man. I want to hear your opinions.
The reason why I'm moving out of the UK is because the UK is going to crap. Not that it used to be perfect by any means, but it was a load better than what it is now. First of all, we didn't sexualize everything. You could watch TV, you'd look forward to a Friday night, and you'd watch your favorite TV show. You'd be able to get through it without sexual innuendos. They wouldn't be insulting each and every single religion on the planet. They wouldn't be blaspheming every 2 seconds. You'd be able to go to school, and in sex education, they actually teach you somewhat useful information. You didn't have drag queens going in to teach 7-year-olds how to give blowjobs. And yes, this did actually happen in the Isle of Man. The economy is essentially non-existent. High street shops were absolutely decimated in 2020 and 2021. People on full pay at home whilst they were told not to work. The list goes on, and it's quite simply painful to see a country fall down the pan as much as the UK has. Hence why I am moving away. And to top it off, the weather isn't amazing, but at the end of the day, that's not a good enough reason to leave somewhere. The reality is no one is proud of the UK anymore. The country is a bit of a joke. It used to stand for great things, but now it's simply in the hands of an evil, godless government.
I don't know if I can continue living in London anymore. When I tell you, as a young person being in this country, sometimes it worries me that there's such a lack of opportunity currently, that the job market is so bad, that the ability to buy a house possibly may be fully out of reach for the rest of my life. There's so many things that literally terrify me about living in this country now, in terms of just, if I work hard, it may not be enough. Like, I may work my arse off for the rest of my life and it's still not be enough to have a good quality of life. That terrifies me and makes me want to sometimes kind of move out of this country. I don't know if it's just me, but even the idea that I may have to work until I'm 66, it just is not feasible in my brain currently, because even working now feels so long, and I know so many people in the country are currently feeling that, irregardless of whether you're young or middle-aged, whatever it is. But I don't know, I just think, for young people, it's so hard being in this country right now, like especially young graduates going into the job market, trying to make something out of themselves, especially in what they have specialised in and studied. I just don't even know what to say. Even how much we pay junior doctors, just to start with. But yeah, I don't know if the UK seems to be something I may or may not stay here in the future. I don't know yet.
So we have decided to leave the country. We're going to move to Thailand. First reason is the school system. Schools are terrible. Kids hate the schools. Nothing's changed since the 1800s. They're just preparing our children for a future that's not going to be there. Second reason is work. I don't like my job, really. My partner doesn't like her job. We're sick and tired of getting up on a Monday, going through the same routine, and then it's the weekend, and then it's a Monday again for nothing. We pay so much tax and all these bills that are just going up and up and up. The weather is terrible. England is just a miserable place. The streets are unsafe. We're just tired. So we've got Instagram going, we've got YouTube going, we've got TikTok going. We're going to try and raise as much money as we can before we go, and hopefully be gone in November. So follow us through our journey. We're going to sell the house. We're going to sell everything we own.
Seriously, leave the UK while you have the chance. This week, if you live in England, a lot is going to change for you, and I mean a lot. So there's been a lot of new laws coming into place over the last couple of months and things being proposed. We know these are now officially banned as of June 1st, 2025, so you will not be able to buy them ever again after that. People are not happy who bought electric cars just to stay in London or places where there's low emissions, because as of 2025, you will pay the same amount. Now though, on Wednesday, day before Halloween, we have the winter budget that you've all heard about, with warnings that it's going to be painful and very, very tough. You know, a lot of things that are most likely going to happen. Tax is going to skyrocket. For small businesses and medium-sized businesses, it is not good at all. So bad, though, that people are genuinely leaving the country because of it now, before it even happens. Survey was done, and 72% of 500 people who were interviewed are literally exploring leaving the country and moving their businesses. And there are hundreds of people, thousands of people who are moving away before this happens. We don't fully know exactly what's going to happen, but I will keep you updated when we know more.
I'll tell you something, this is never right. Me and my pastry girl is absolutely busted. We're going to help ourselves. I've just come out from Hastings. I've been talking to a Chinese man down in Hastings. And he's turned around and said to me, he's leaving the UK. So I said, well, what are you leaving the UK for? What, you like retiring that? He said, no. He says, too many foreigners over here. He said, taking the work. I went, what? He says, too many foreigners. I said, mate, I said, you should have known that. I said, before you come over here. Because he's been over here for about 5 or 6 years now. He said, but it's everywhere. He said, they're all undercutting one another. It's all the restaurants. He said, we're working for peanuts now. He said, all the rates have gone up through the roof. I said, where do you think the poor families feel? I said, who ain't got nothing who lives over here now. I said, that's the problem with you. I said, you've got a living coming in. I said, some of them people sitting in them houses, they've got nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? And them poor babies and that, they need feeding every day. He went, I see your point, he said. But he said, but we are. He said, we're giving it all up. He said, we're moving back home. I said, well, it's up to you, we've got to do, isn't it? I couldn't believe it when he said about it. There's too many foreigners over here. That's a Chinese man. What do you think of that? Never right. It's just letting you know what this world's come to, for them to say that, isn't it? Anyway, God bless you all, boys and girls. See you all later.
I live in Thailand, and today I need to go and pay my electric bill, so come with me to see how cheap and easy it is compared to the UK. 7-Eleven is one of the places you can go and pay for your electric bill. Literally so easy to go and pay it in your favourite local shop. Literally 1,000 baht, which is £23 for the whole month of electricity. Alright, I'm just waiting to queue up and pay. The price comes up right there, so that's £23. Tap on car. Tap on card. Thank you. It's really that easy. He gave me a receipt as well. All you need to do is give him the cash. He does it all for you at your favourite local 7-Eleven shop. It's honestly such an easy process. If you're thinking about moving to Thailand, don't worry, I've got you. Before I left the UK and moved to Thailand, I literally was thinking, how do I do little stuff like paying for my electric? Moving to the other side of the world isn't as scary as it sounds like, I promise you guys. Especially when everyone is so kind here. Everything's so easy, everyone's so helpful, everyone's so kind, and it makes such an impact.
Well, I'm going to be leaving the UK as a 17-year-old college dropout. I mean, I finished 1 year of college, but I was dead. I'd say the main thing about the UK is just dead vibes. You can't just go out somewhere and just worry about a massive 56-inch ZK just poking through your back. Obviously, there's good artists, there's good, like, concerts and whatever, but I'm not that type of guy to go to one of these things anyway. But also, I don't want to have to worry about being sent off the grid by tech fleece warriors. It's sad, though, because, like, you just can't go out with, like, a nice hoodie, nice shoes, and, like, maybe a nice watch or something. Obviously, not got a Rolex yet, but soon coming it. But obviously, if I was to have something like that, just expensive shoes, expensive watches, expensive jackets as well, I just can't be asked to get robbed. Obviously, Greece, that's the place where I'm going. These things just don't happen there. You're not going to have some roadmen in the corner waiting to take your Canada Goose. I mean, second thing is obviously it's expensive, bruv. Cost of living has just made it insane for a standard young person to live here. Obviously, my family has 2 properties in Greece, and obviously that eliminates like rent and all of that, so you only have to pay for bills, which comes out to around like £300 for like every 4 months, which is crazy because then you have a lot of money to set aside, even if you're working a shit 9 to 5. And for someone like me who has a high income skill, I trade, I'm going to be making a lot of money, a lot of that's going to be set aside, I have minimal expenses, I can just buy whatever the fuck I want. I'm not really like a university type of guy, like, oh, go university, get your degree and all of that bullshit. And third, like, just weather and all of that. I mean, you can't go to a beach here, like, you can go Blackpool Beach, it's like sandpaper. It's just hot there, it's cold here, it's like a dead. I feel like when people always go on holiday, you're always upset when you come back to England. And it's just because you know that you're coming from a place where you feel more free to like reality and just grey standard shit. I just want to move to a place where that can be my life. I can live in a place where it's hot, it's nice, good munch, and no ZKs in my neck.
Guys, it's with a heavy heart that we have decided to leave London
and go to Bicester Village. We began our day at the apartment, which is a stunning base of operations that you can go in and just chill out before you begin your day. Oh, Mister, perfect girl. And there she is again. It was such a good place to start the day. The pastries were perfect and it is the best iced coffee I've had in a while. And importantly, we got hands-free shopping, which meant any time we made a purchase, it would be delivered back here and we didn't have to carry it with us all day. Right, shopping. And fun fact, here lies the motivation for my most recent diet. I am the world's biggest Tom Brown fan and there were so many incredible blazers at amazing prices and I was too big for all of them. Ava seems very happy. She had a real shopping list, however the only thing I was determined to get was a black bag, which brings us to the agonising choice of my day. Mont Blanc briefcase or Prada crossbody bag. Look at the enthusiasm. I have to say, given my buying history, I kind of resented having to queue for Gucci. However, they obviously didn't know who I was. Maybe I should have worn some sort of sign. I must have it. I can see myself in it. I can totally... Oh, maybe I can't see myself in it. I'm Italian. This is a good Italian. The food was excellent and the service was even better. And now we come to the highlight of the day. Ava's YSL jacket. She decided to think about it. The Prada bag won out. She thought about it for like 15 seconds. Nah, look at her wee face. Look at how happy she is.
These are the reasons why I'm leaving the UK this year. So, basically, Sadiq, you want to take away my dog off me. You want to take my van off the road. You want to put prices on food, prices on car insurance, prices on everything have just skyrocketed. And then when you go and try and get a mortgage or look at it, it's like putting yourself in a prison sentence. So these are the reasons why I am leaving the UK this year. If everyone wants to follow along, and I've got to do an update video of letting people know where I'm going to be going to move. So stay in touch, people. I'll let you know what's going on. Come follow the story. I hope everyone had a good New Year. And yeah, I'll see you all soon.
If you're thinking of moving from the UK to Australia, then listen to what we have done this morning. This will blow your mind. Well, first and foremost, it's winter. Look at that blue sky. Beautiful. We're outside in t-shirts, having an iced coffee in winter. Make it make sense. However, this morning, we thought, oh, we're going to do a little bit of food shopping. We went food shopping, and on the way back, we thought we'll quickly swing by the beach, have a little walk. Our beach is about 3 meters away from where we live. Not 3 meters, 3 minutes. However, we went down the beach and there we are, just scanning the ocean. Pod of dolphins out in the distance, load of dolphins, literally on our doorstep. We are working class, normal people. We're not rich, but we've made the move from the UK to Australia. And before midday, we've been food shopping, seen some dolphins, been on the beach, and now we're in the garden in a t-shirt, having a nice coffee. Peace and love, people.
I moved out of London 2 months ago, and today I'm back for the very first time, and it's been emotional. Look how beautiful. Oh, wait, that's just somebody's used underwear. So to remind myself why I left, I've put together a little list of reasons. First up, the rent situation. Rent, according to stats that I found from last year, has increased by 17% over the course of that year. And that is the biggest year-on-year increase since 2007, which was not a good year, but it gets worse. And these stats are from Zoopla, by the way. The average single-income renter spends 48.4% of their income on rent. Final fact, the median asking rent for a 2-bedroom apartment was $2,400 compared to $1,900 pre-pandemic. Next, let's talk about weather. And annoyingly today, it's good, so it doesn't illustrate my point very well. But London is very well known for its raininess. However, that's actually not strictly true. London is rainy, but some cities in Europe, like Amsterdam or Moscow, are on average actually far rainier, which might be surprising. However, London is very good at one bad thing, and that's not having very much sunshine. The UK in general, I think, is second only to Iceland. Sorry, just another siren. Next up, I want to talk about commuting, which for me personally is a big issue. For a lot of sane people it's not, but I get panic attacks on the underground, and I just don't like it. I don't like being squished in there with all those people. Obviously, I have to caveat this by saying that the public transport in London and the UK in general is actually phenomenal. It's just not for me. Alright, number 4, it probably won't shock you that my next complaint is the crowds. I actually really like people, but sometimes these big cities can get really overwhelming. I just reached a point where I felt like I needed a break from the hustle and bustle, which is really exciting, and there is so much to do in London, and I do really miss that, all the restaurants and the events, but I feel like I need to stop and breathe, and that wasn't really possible for me in London at that point. For now, in the short to medium term, this was definitely a good choice for me. Alright, reason number 5 for why I left London, I'm sitting back down on my Nicolog, by the way, is London mentality. And what I mean by London mentality is that people aren't very warm or spontaneous. It's a general British thing, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but for this stage of my life, I'm really craving a bit more warmth, a place that's really forthcoming, where people are really warm, friendly. Also, this is not necessarily London's fault, but a lot of my friends are starting to get married and really settle down, and it's just making them really dull and boring. Everything takes a really long time to plan. If you want to meet up with somebody, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks of planning and putting dates in diaries, and it's just not who I am. And finally, for my closing statement, I would like to mention a quote that I think a lot of you are going to mention in the comments, and that is, when a man is tired of London, a man is tired of life. Well, that quote kept me in this city for months when I probably should have left a lot sooner than I did. For a very long time, because of that quote, I kept myself in the belief that because I wasn't thriving in London, the fault was all my own, and that if I couldn't be happy here, I literally would never be happy anywhere else. But when you think about it, how close-minded is it to assume that one place can meet all your needs? If you want to evolve as a person, sometimes you need to make really drastic changes and really throw yourself outside your comfort zone. And me leaving London is doing that. So in a nutshell, a reminder to self, this is why I left London. This is why I left London. I do miss it though, just a little bit.
I'm moving out of London, and here is why. Also, I just got done crying about this, so excuse me if I look a bit disheveled. I have lived in London for 6, maybe 7 years, and in that time I did a stint in Bali, and then I came back to London because I thought I really loved it so much, and I just really never envisioned myself leaving, especially before I turned 30. This year I started a business, I went self-employed. I think I really underestimated how lonely that would be. For context, people who follow me on here will know I'm an artist, I'm a painter, but I am also a freelance videographer, video editor, social media content creator, I guess. So when I'm not on shoots, I spend a lot of my time at home by myself editing videos. And that gets really lonely sometimes. Going from a 9 to 5 stable job going traveling for 6 months, living in Bali, and then coming back to London and starting a business and going fully self-employed, building this up by myself, has been really, really difficult. London is so expensive at the minute. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, cost of living crisis. I am in a mental health crisis. And I feel like in order for me to be really happy here, I'm having to work myself to the bone in order to be able to live how I want to live. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love freelancing. I am earning, if not I'm on track to earning, more money than I ever did in my 9 to 5. I love being a business owner. I love feeling like I have purpose. So that is not the problem here. The problem is I feel like I can't slow down. If I'm not doing something, I'm not being productive, or I'm not making the most of living in the city. I feel like I always need to be running around 1,000 miles an hour, and I just simply can't do that. Some of you may have noticed that I took a giant social media hiatus. I haven't been painting. I can't remember the last time I picked up a paintbrush because I am so burnout. But the fact that I'm not painting isn't filling my cup at all. So I'm constantly pouring from an empty cup just to kind of live this life in London that feels maybe like it's a bit of an illusion now, that it's not something that aligns with me anymore. So a month ago, I made the decision to leave London, and instead I have decided to move back to Bali. So I'm going to be back living my little island life. I have a really, really strong network of self-employed friends there, which I don't necessarily have here. It feels like the right move, and I'm going to have a lot more time to focus on me and my mental health and painting and filling my cup doing the things that I know I love to do, all while still being able to progress in my businesses. I'm moving in exactly 1 month. Kind of decided to use my TikTok as more of like a personal diary. We're still going to be doing art. I'm still going to be sharing my process. I'm still going to be sharing my work now that I'm going to have a lot more time to be doing so in Bali. And with that in mind, I thought I would start documenting the process of me getting there. Hopefully we are getting myself back to posting more, feeling a bit more comfortable, painting more, and just living for myself now instead of the way that I thought life should be lived, I guess.
Highly likely this is going to upset a few people, especially those living in the UK, but I make no apologies for what I'm about to say because it's designed to inspire. It's not designed to upset anybody. But the harsh reality is it's highly likely that we will never, ever live in the UK again, because it just cannot offer us that life that we've got now since we've moved from the UK to Australia. And having seen what other countries have to offer in comparison to the UK, I just don't believe we'll ever go back there to live. We're normal people. We don't have a lot of money. We're working class. We work very normal jobs. And Australia gives us so much more in return. You don't have to be rich to move here. You just have to try. Like, honestly, this morning we've been food shopping, went for a walk along the beach, which is 3 minutes down the road. And whilst walking along the beach, we've seen a pod of dolphins. We just stood there watching in disbelief on this beautiful winter's day where I'm walking around in a t-shirt. I just think we would never have this back home in the UK. And there's just so much more to offer out in the world, living in other countries. I just highly recommend, if you're considering doing the move from the UK to Australia or wherever it might be, you've got other countries that you're inspired to live in, just go and do it. Life is too short to have regrets. And the reality is there is better countries out there to live in that can give you so much more than what the UK can. Good luck, people.
Leave the UK now. Honestly, I've just moved to Thailand and I don't understand why people are still in the UK. It's so easy to work from a computer nowadays that you could honestly grind for the next 6 months doing one thing online and you could make it to Thailand. Now you ask me, why should I leave the UK? Why should I go to Thailand? Well, this is the reason. For £400 a month, I get all this with this view and everything else included, including TV, a desk, and also a bathroom. And this is why you need to move to Thailand. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you can earn £1,000 a month, you can come to Thailand. Just for an average one bed in someone else's house in the UK, you're looking at £500 per month. And that does not include your room being cleaned or anything like that, which it does in Thailand. So get hustling and leave the UK today.
I post a few weeks ago about how we left the UK because we wanted to live a different life. We didn't want to be trapped kind of in the system. We were burnt out, we were stressed, we never saw our kids. And when we did see our kids, we just weren't present. We were always thinking about all the jobs we had to do. Felt like I was living like Groundhog Day every single day. And I kind of had a bit of a breakdown. I had a bit of a panic thinking, wow, is this my life for the rest of my life? And I just felt like there had to be a different way of living. So we took that risk and kind of everything hard that we'd worked for, we kind of got rid of and left and started all over again. We shipped out suitcases. And it was a massive risk because we could have gone away and hated it and think, God, we've just got rid of everything we've worked hard for the last 20 years. And then we had nothing to come back to. So I just believed deep down there was another way of living. And I wanted to do that post to say to other people, like, we're over a year now since doing it and we have no regrets. And it was the best thing we ever did. And I want to inspire other families to do the same. But there was so much hate on that post. Not only about people that can't think the same way as us, which is no problem. Like, I'm totally used to that. But, oh my God, the amount of comments on my personal appearance. So like, I have a thick skin now. I really do, but I still read them and I'm like, oh wow, I would never write that on someone's post ever in a million years. I would just scroll on. I would never ever put that hate out there. But yeah, I just wanted to say that post really was for inspiring other families and to let them know that there is another way of living because we are living proof of doing it. And that's the message I was trying to portray with that, because in the UK, we really were completely drowning. And now we're thriving.
So I wanted to talk about an important topic because a lot of people saying that you should leave the UK is going downhill and that you should try and find a better life elsewhere. And as somebody who's doing that in about 2 weeks' time, I want to talk about the realities because this is what people don't talk about on TikTok. What actually happens when you do leave? How does it work with your family, friends, saying goodbye, the hard stuff? What's it actually like? And speaking about that, I'm on the way to my leaving do right now in Derby. So I'm on the train up there now. It's going to be the last time I see my friends for quite a long time. And that is quite difficult to do, but it's the realities of leaving. Now, I've done this before because I used to live in Canada for quite some time and I moved to the UK again when I was 16. And in that point, I had to say goodbye to everyone else there and I got to see what happens. People that you thought would be close friends, ultimately after 2-3 years, you don't hear from them as much. And that's very common. People drift apart, but that's the reality. If you're going to move abroad and you're going to try a new country, even if you go back every year to visit, you're ultimately not going to be as close to people that you once were close with as before. And that's the reality. And you might find it's a bit difficult depending where you go. Some countries aren't going to have a culture that's as easy to adapt to as, say, the UK. Because that's what you're used to, that's what you've grown up with. And I could say the same. Canada has a very different culture. There's things that were good about it, there's things that I didn't like so much about it. But the UK, of course, feels like home, because that's, yeah, everybody's own culture feels like home, of course. But the reality is, when you go to a new country, you're going to have to adapt to their culture. You're going to have to learn the language if it's not an English-speaking country, and you're going to have to try and adapt to their customs and their way of life. And you're going to meet some great people. There's lots of lovely countries, lots of nice people, and that's what I'm moving for. I'm moving to El Salvador. That's what I picked because I like the good weather. I think people are very friendly over there, and I like the way the country's go. You know, there's a lot of people that bash on the UK and say that it's going downhill. I'm not going to get into that. Everyone's got their own reasons for that. But for me, I wanted a better quality of life and somewhere where I can get ahead, which I find in the UK, you're not getting as ahead as you could be. Now, when it comes to actually leaving, and especially going to your leaving do, you're going to find that people are going to be supportive of you, but there's going to be some people that aren't. And of the people that I've told that I'm leaving, there's been some people that haven't wanted me to leave and tried to convince me to not go, even though it's a better opportunity. And, you need to be kind of wary of those situations. You need to be careful who you tell and how much you tell of your move. Don't, I guess, go into all of the information depending on who you're telling, because some people might be negative about it. And if you're moving, you're already going through a lot. You're moving out your house, your apartments, you're saying goodbye to friends and family. You don't want someone being negative around you. You need to try and be positive, get through that hard point, because the last 2 weeks, I can tell you, are very difficult. There's a lot of things going on. You're moving out, you're leaving your home, you're leaving your friends, your family. It's tough, right? You don't need anything worse. So just be careful what you say, especially when you're going to these gatherings and leaving dues and saying goodbye to people, because at the end of the day, you need to stay on the track and on the path that you've set. You don't want anything to kind of get in your way. So make sure and keep that in mind. And of course, don't let anything stray you off. If everything looks good, someone's telling you down the pub, oh, that's a stupid idea, don't go for that. Still, weigh up why you made the decision in the first place. Make the choice. If you think you're going to have a better quality of life, go for it. Especially if you're in your 20s or early 30s. There's no better time than to have an adventure. Go try a new country, try a new culture. The worst that happens is you go home.
When thousands would go abroad and start over rather than continue to struggle just to survive in the country of their birth, that is not wanderlust, but signs of warning. The case is losing its patriotic connotation and picks up the theme of self-preservation. They are leaving because they have lost faith in a system that no longer works for them. For, in broken Britain, employment is not the synonym for stability. Charging your taxes is not receiving assistance. Building a future? Well, that sounds like a joke. The truth is, people aren't thanking themselves. They're tired. If ever there has been a time when you felt like leaving was your only option, or staying felt like slow suffocation, you are not alone, and you are not crazy for wanting better. Subscribe to Brit Rants, because the more they try to silence us, the louder we'll stay. We don't sugarcoat anything, we shout it. And next time they ask why people are leaving, send them right here.